Mama Elizabeth, Ako Are, Ya Ma Regina, Are Besem, Esentimere, Abonin Funi, Kebro Koro Beremwe, Okume Yanije, Okoro Devenjo, Okume Yanik Pepe, Okoro Beremwe, Kebro Okume Yanije, Okoro Devenjo, Kebro Okume Yanik Pepe. Ajao, Mr. Akem Valentine Akem, what no? Ajao, Yebanyo, Ari Etri Nachire of Norway, Ajao, Amano. This is put up to Ashu Samuel, one never know. A bon something.
Ntufam, let me welcome you officially to Calabar. Since you joined EjT, your passion for the organization has been beyond measure. And then the organization started right to make you the vice president, and you accepted the responsibility without hesitation. So what was that immediate propeller that got you so active with EjT?
You know, the notion of Ejagham tradition had been alive in me, even though it hadn't come to the surface. We had tried some time ago with a late friend, Patrick Array, to see how we can be able to awaken the Ejagham kingdom to unity, and in that line be able to safeguard our culture that was already being adulterated and dying off. So when the idea of EjT was muted and I happened to discover it from the net, from friends, I said, oh my God, this is what has been my passion and which has come through some other direction. I bought it. I bought it because the idea of EjT is it's self-identifying, because EjT is working for Ejagham and the Ejagham people. And being an Ejagham son, I embraced it. And when it was suggested that I should be the vice president, I did not see myself refusing to work for myself, because work for EjT is work for the self. I am Ejagham, and therefore, if I'm working for Ejagham tradition, I'm working for myself. I did not have any reason to refuse it. It's a sacrifice for the recognition of the self. It is only you yourself who can be able to give a definition and direction to yourself. No other person can do. Only you yourself can be able to protect and direct yourself, your person, and your personality. So I felt that this was an opportunity for me to identify with who I am and where I come from, Ejagham.
That's amazing. When someone of your nature buys into the idea, I think young people like myself are energized to even do further by giving our support and our service to the organization. And then let us understand something with our brothers and sisters over there in the Cameroon. You know, the creation of the border had separated us to a large extent because of migration policies and the rest of that. So what is it like being an Ejagham man in Cameroon? Because I don't know, I've lived all my life in Nigeria. So what is it like being an Ejagham man in Cameroon?
I think that being an Ejagham man in Cameroon is almost the same thing like being an Ejagham man in Nigeria. The only difference with all other tribes is that movement within the tribes do not have to have authorization, I should say, from strangers in quotes. Because if you have to leave, say, a Umojok to come to Agbornduku or to go to Ekup, which is still within the Ejagham kingdom, you have to get a visa. That's the problem with living in Cameroon as an Ejagham man. If you want to go and visit your sister, you want to go and bury your cousin, you want to go and marry a daughter, you must be able to be authorized to move within your kingdom. That's the daily experience we have as Ejagham people in Cameroon, trying to reunite with our brothers in Nigeria. I cannot tell you that I was very happy, giving my passport to be stamped in order for me to attend to the work of EjT. And I captured the experience in one poem, At Last They Met, because when EjT came and I discovered the conviviality that animated all the members, I told myself that finally the Ejagham in the Cameroons has met with the Ejagham in Nigeria. And how did they meet? They met over and across the Cross River, because that is the greatest separation. But the Ejagham in Cameroon it's leaving. They have the same problem that we are crying of the cultures being eroded, but they are also trying to preserve what they can, and the society is vibrant, the Ekup society is vibrant, the traditional expressions in songs and dance vibrant, but there is a very big challenge, the challenge of being able to pass this to the younger generation, the challenge to be able to, live together as one. That challenge is what EjT has actually come to solve, and for which I am very, very committed. Very, very committed.
Amazing, Ntufam. When you say the challenge of handing over this tradition to younger generation, what may be the propellers of this challenge? What may be the basic factors that are sustaining this challenge?
The first challenge is that the Ejagham kingdom falls into two different countries. Yes. And as I wrote in those lines, same people, two countries, same people, one spirit, one Ejagham. Because of this arbitrary separation, it is very difficult for the people of the same kingdom to move towards one direction. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is that of interfering cultures, especially colonialism. Colonialism created all the problems and left without solving any of the problems. It created young Ejagham men who saw themselves as the new civilized individuals who did not think that, or he did not only think that, also saw that speaking Ejagham was primitive, uncivilized, and even attending to the cultural activities of Ejagham was primitive. And they produced a generation of Ejagham children that neither spoke the Ejagham language, nor did they know how to prepare Ejagham dishes, nor did they know how to dance or to carry out the very important activities of the Ejagham cultural expressions. Those are the things that have created a lot of problems that demand as at now an urgent movement for reawakening. Because you have, I am not saying that I don't have. In my house, I started with Ejagham, with the children I first had. But eventually, you know, work and other things overtook me. The ones, their brothers and sisters who I got later can't even speak Ejagham. So that is the problem where the challenge we have, and that is the challenge that I think EjT will be able to embrace and cause the awakening, that people will discover that a man who does not know his culture is like somebody who is living in a vacuum, and it doesn't happen in any other culture.
Ntufam, the problems you've highlighted, the challenges you've mentioned, have a peculiarity within the African continent. Almost every indigenous African culture have this story to tell. Yes. And there is something that is also unique about them, the demonization of our culture by the colonial masters, like you rightly pointed. Now, if we are trying to reawaken this tradition, which EjT is poised to do, is there no need to demystify these claims about the Ejagham tradition? Particularly, people say, Kagembe, Ogembe, Arechando, Kage, Kakimkim, Kaimji, Njenji, Nanji, Obioti, Uching, all those kind of, some with some Christian undertones to label our traditions as evil. What can we really do to make sure we demystify these concepts?
It's by telling your story. It's by telling your story, it's by creating awareness. You mentioned Christianity. I think that Christianity has done a lot of damage to indigenous African traditions. Yes. If you want to talk about Mbe, you must belong to Mbe in order to know that it is bad. But you do not belong and you say it is bad. It is the culture of the Ejagham people. We did not reject the Christianity which was brought. Why should Christianity reject our culture? By the way, what is Christianity in itself? Is it not the Jewish tradition? It is the Jewish tradition. Yes. So if Christianity came with the Jewish tradition, why must it ask us to leave Mbe, to leave Moninkim, to leave Epa? What we have to do, like I took pains to demonstrate in the poem Moninkim, is to tell the other side of the story. As I said in the beginning, nobody can tell your story better than you. And I am, even if I'm dying today, I'm dying as a happy man because I discovered that EjT came to help us to overcome a hurdle that has been a problem to us for a very long time. Yes. The Nkim, they tell us it is very bad. It is a barbaric act. What makes it barbaric? For Nkim to have the proper story, then we must have to tell it in the way it is. And if you read my poem Moninkim, you will get all the reasons why the Ejagham people practiced Nkim. It is not just for the physical exercise, yes, but it defined the rite of passage of a young damsel into womanhood. It signified the notion of pure love. The damsel gets into the fattening room, and the whole community is brought into play. Everybody who goes to the farm comes with a little thing for the Moninkim. And after that, in the fattening room, she learns dance steps. She learns how to sing, and eventually starts dancing for the community until when she graduates from her fattening room. She is a queen, and the fattening room, her palace. The notion of Nkim being barbaric is not from the Ejagham people. It is from the Western world. That is what they have seen. So you tell them the other side of the story. Nkim is not only barbaric, it is is a rite of passage. It is an expression of community love. It is dignifying. It is honor to the damsel and the family, and it is a source that brings the community together. This is the only avenue where a damsel is given the opportunity to blossom, let her beauty show. She is adorned in camwood and chalk, white chalk. She is visited only when it is necessary. You don't have that in the Western world. Why do they only see the dark side? Why don't they see the good side? And they tell you the bad side, and you abandon your culture. And they laugh at you because you want to do this. Okay, if they say the reduction of the clitoris reduces the sexual excitement of a woman, why do they go homosexuals? I have never seen an anal that has a clitoris. So they should at least see the goodness in the things that make us, define us, than instead helping us to completely, lose our identity, because that is what it is, completely lose our identity. So we have as a duty to tell our story. That is why I accepted EjT without a second thought, because it gave me the opportunity to look at all these things. I started writing eco culture and eco nature poems. For which Kim is one, and then there are a few others. Because it will be very difficult for you to cause somebody to understand that if you do chemical hunting or chemical fishing, you do not only kill the fish and maybe kill other animals, but in water you kill our totems. You will kill the crocodile, which is a totem. And therefore, the stability which the village totem of crocodile was doing in the river will no longer be there. So we have as a duty to tell the world that no, while we have all these things coming, the chemicals for us to use and do this, they are also destructive to our culture and tradition. No other person can do it for us. We can only do it ourselves. And I want to remind you that we are not in competition with any other tribe. Neither are we in conflict with any government. We just want to tell our story, because no other person can tell it for us.
Ntufam, this is so interesting. I like the point you raised that we are not in competition with any other tribe. Yes. Neither are we against or for. Neither are we making political statements. Because if we look at the experience of the Ejagham in the Nigerian region, we are under political divides, only identifying ourselves by geopolitical demarcations. I do not know if this is also an issue in the Cameroon area. What do you have to say on that?
Yes, it is. The problem with human life is that even within a family, there is always the idea of the self. The human being is a very individualistic animal, so it is always there. We have in the Ejagham in the Cameroons, while we try to build harmony, there are certain clusters of the Ejagham kingdom that have, by nature of where they found themselves, have been advanced in terms of manpower, in terms of education, and in terms of wealth. And when it comes to politics, some clusters complain of marginalization, and then some clusters say that you don't have to complain because you don't have the manpower. But as Ejagham people, we belong to the same house. But some rooms are bigger, and some rooms also have many more people inside. This is the reality of every setting. As we have in Nigeria, that's how we have in Cameroon. And we think that in EjT, we should try to use our Ejagham-ness to minimize conflict within the divides, within the geopolitical divides, because if we are not very careful, the geopolitical divides can only cause us to polarize, which cannot be good for us. And with EjT and the coming together of individuals from the various clusters in Cameroon and in Nigeria, we will be able to advise and caution and grow together.
From another thing that gives me concern, 2 days ago I traveled to Ogoja. That was the first time I was reaching that part of Cross River. All my life I have known that there's a Ejagham in Ogoja, but I thought they were minority people. Only to be educated further by the Vice President of EjT, Bomonkom, that Bako Ejagham is a great group in the Ogoja area. And that is to say that young people like myself, who, because we did not travel wide enough, we have little knowledge about the vastness of this nation, making us think very little about where we come from. What can be done to expose an average Ejagham child to the heritage of the Ejagham by dint of their largeness, the wealth of their heritage, and many other things? How can we make Ejagham children know who the Ejagham people are?
We have started coming together and creating such activities that will bring the Ejagham people together, and such activities should be restituted. When we come together, we carry out the activities, we carry education, there must be restitution. The people behind, the children, should be able to know. That is what we are doing. Truly, it couldn't have been possible in the manner we found ourselves. The Ejagham kingdom is a very big kingdom, which created fear in Zig's political adventure. That's why he sponsored the plebiscite to split Ejagham kingdom, so that a very big kingdom should not be close to the Igbo kingdom. We have to teach our children how to be able to start first with knowing the language. When they know the language, we create what the annual come together like the one we did last year, and our children will be able to see that, oh, and understand, like you were saying, many people, when you say Ogoja, Peninari comes at Ejagham chan.
Yes.
Yes. But when I work, I mean, Ejagham Bako, but to me, Ejagham Jefangofang, and it's not a minority in Ogoja. No, it's not true. It's a very big cluster of the Ejagham kingdom. Ebu njie imgerokano. No jabambo mare commitment eranye fone na EjT afang. And ebunji ekuni vijibra kwe ekakanjani ekpa changi netika magai monawe. The children will see what we are doing and they will follow. Same ebanine memban kare kenejama. The involvement we are going to give in EjT will be seen by our children and imitated. The annual events that we have started, the members of EjT in Cameroon who will be coming for those events will not be coming alone, they'll be coming with their children. And that's how it's going to spread out. And while we are trying to stand, and I know eventually we will also be able to organize activities in Ejagham Cameroon, where the clusters here will also cross and meet their brothers and do such celebrations. It will be wonderful.
That's Ejagham is so large with dialectical differences. Some are mutually intelligible by all groups, and the other ones are a bit difficult. to descend by majority of the Ejagham nation. So what do you think about this dialectical problems within the language community?
The first definition of language is that for a language to be, it must have dialects.
Okay, yes, sure.
Yes. So that one is not a problem. It is just the way a language is. It has dialects. And for language codification, the dialect which has mutual intelligibility is usually codified and made to be used by the entire tribe or language area. I think that Dr. Waters did a lot of work and has codified the Ejagham language. It is our duty to be able to take what he has done and develop it and teach it to the whole tribe. At the same time, every dialectical area maintaining its dialect. If I meet with a Ejagham son, we speak the codified language. And when he meets with his Kwa brother, he speaks the Kwa dialect. That is the way it goes. But I'm afraid because of our unfortunate situation, so much time has been spent without considering this difficulty, which will lead to certain dialects resisting the mutually intelligible dialect which should pass for the dialect of the whole Ejagham nation. So, if we have to be sincere to ourselves, that is what we have to do. Otherwise, if we want to codify, you codify Ejagham Bako, you codify Ejagham Kangpa, you codify Ejagham Tung, you codify Ejagham Kwa, then you codify the 3 clusters in Cameroon, then it would just be nonsense. Dr. Waters, who did this work for the Ejagham Kingdom, is not an Ejagham child. He lived a very long time in the Ejagham in Nigeria and lived a long time in the Ejagham of Cameroon and saw that the Ejagham in Ejagham cluster of the lake area is more mutually intelligible, and he codified it. We have as duty to look at how we can be able to cause this thing to work. EjT has a lot of work. EjT has a lot of work. And because it has a lot of work and the work is pressing, then we have to work very hard if we have to succeed. I know you are wondering why I had to leave Cameroon to come here in order to be able to talk
really
about
amazing.
this. It's because I see the urgency. I see the urgency. I see the urgency. If we leave what Dr. Waters has done and we start looking for, by here I've been reading in the forum, some people saying, oh, we need to, but there is somebody who has already done something. I saw his alphabets there on the forum. I saw Ekup-Nse and all that. We pick up from there. We pick up from there, and we will be able to have a wonderful language that will cut across all the clusters, not killing the dialects of those clusters. Because if you kill the dialects of those clusters, then you have killed the language. Then the language doesn't exist again, because the language must exist because it has such dialects. The second thing about language, again, is that a language is not static. It must grow. How does it grow? It grows from borrowing, which is another characteristic of a language. It must borrow. It borrows from other experiences that did not exist in its own experience. But when they are pronouncing the experience they borrow, it is not in the language they have borrowed. For example, I can take French. French borrowed weekend from English. I mean the French language. They borrowed the word weekend from English. They don't pronounce it weekend like English. They call it weekend.
Within their own accent.
Yes, within their own accent. So they are speaking French, not English.
Yes.
The English borrowed rendezvous from French. When they call it rendezvous, they are not speaking French. They are speaking English because the French pronounce it rendezvous. So if we are borrowing a word like moto or motor car and we pronounce it moto, we are not pronouncing it in English. We are pronouncing it in Ejagham. Because we have those words that we have borrowed, like rice. Most of the cultures borrowed rice because we did not have, initially we didn't have it in Africa. The Igbos call it a race. In my language, which is yours too, we call it a race. So does it mean that we are speaking another language? No. A language must grow towards borrowing. And let me tell you, there's an interesting something I found out. Because I did a postgraduate in linguistics before another postgraduate in literature. And I was writing a project on a language in a sociocultural dynamic society. And I was taking the case of Ejagham. My discovery was that the central Ejagham in the Cameroon Ejagham uses more of Efik words than we the Njamayas who are, right into Efik and all that. And I'm surprised. And they say, those are their words. And I cannot go to tell them that, no, they are not your words. Because they call shoes Mpokut. But they don't call it Mpaokut. They call it Mpokut. The breakable, which the Efiks call, is it Afyosan? But you just get them, there's Afusan.
Afusan, yes.
Yes. They call the umbrella. They say, for you. But you really see that the similarity with Ufuojo in Efik. But they are calling it in their own way. And that is what makes a language dynamic. So I see in the forum some aspects of prescriptive linguistics. I get a little bit afraid, but I tried to point out the other day that names are mostly nouns. So you don't try to make a name using an adjective, because that is descriptive and no longer naming. It's just defining that thing, but not saying what it is. For example, if you say radio, Nkobesresri, but Nkobesresri are region.
Nkobesresri is a box of talking.
Good. So what does it mean?
You are not calling a radio.
No, you are not calling a radio. If you don't say radio, Opi, yes, Opi, a canoe. But Ebunji Okofon Ikikeres Ekup-Nse. Does it make sense? Because the Ejagham man knows that his canoe moves on water. Doesn't make sense. Yes, just because you want to run away from calling it either motor or train or all these things. Then when you see an aeroplane, how do you want to call it? You call it Opioso.
No, it doesn't go.
It doesn't go because it doesn't go there. You can call it a Ruprin. It doesn't. That's your own way of pronouncing the experience. You are not speaking English.
I think this kind of language education is very vital.
Yes.
Because I read in Punch this year that the new English dictionary, I think Oxford, have adopted about more than 20 Nigerian languages, 20 Nigerian pronunciation. Mama put the roadside food.
That's it.
Has entered the English dictionary.
That is it. That is not even the only one. The English, I remember the English had accepted the panga, which is a South African name for their South African type of machete, which they didn't have the experience. They accepted it and took it. The committee for validation of new words in the language accepted it and put it. So we must be very careful not to fall into the prescriptive linguistic approach to language management. Yes.
And then I could see that other advanced languages have like a body that oversees the management of this codification process.
That is it.
And I'm very certain that EjT is putting up a structure of that kind.
We will eventually. We will eventually. Eroim tikeba kono burechi. Burechi tikojoko tikakwe bakane akio makarere gear definition. How you understand? No ipangdibo tsara no kobe zesase. Renkobe nkobato. So nkop by itself a renkop box. And the Ejagham man understands that a box is something you put things inside. So nkop a renkop. Radio. I'm pronouncing it radio because of my excessive involvement with the English language. Otherwise, my old mother in the house would pronounce it radio. And it is it.
And that is it.
And that is it.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Ntufam.
Yeah.
Another fun point to notice, the metropolitan Ejagham.
Yeah.
When I mean metropolitan Ejagham in the Nigerian context, is
I understand.
the core, their majority in what is now Calabar.
Okay.
And urbanization takes many people from the interior of the Cross River region. Even some people migrate as far as Cameroon to settle in Calabar.
That's right.
And when they get here, much is not said about the Ejagham-ness of this land. So what kind of thing can be done to make sure that Ejagham does not fall cut short by the urbanization excuse because Calabar is Ejagham's urban center? I think this is something we must talk about.
That's where EjT has come. Because EjT must have to wrestle it individually. It will be very difficult for our brothers of the Ejagham Urban, the Quas, to break through individually. But collectively, we will break through. Because the cultures that move are very aggressive. Because they are moving first because of a need. And the movements usually carry the people from, from the peripheries into the urban centers. So if such cultures like our brothers of the Kwa, if they are non-resistant to such interferences, they will completely disappear. Disappear because the other cultures will become very aggressive and they will not be able to withstand. But with the coming of EjT and the Ejagham unity, the queerness in Calabar will surface.
One good news is that I think the current leadership of the Kwa Kingdom is really trying to bring back the Kwa dialect, and that is taking us somewhere very positive.
That's good. That is the thing I'm saying. That's the thing I'm saying, that we do not have to leave the Kwas.
Yes, we do.
We have to work with the Kwas to give them the Ejaghamness, because we are one, and we cannot permit any aspect of our kingdom or nation, to fizzle out. It can't go. It can't go. We must continue to animate the core dialect of the Ejagham language and pass it over to the children, pass it over to the generations that did not know certain aspects of the Kwas, and make it vibrant again. And I am not seeing any other organization that is going to help in this other than EjT.
When EjT organized its maiden talk show on the 23rd of December, one of our panelists, a high-profile Kwason, Ntufam, he talked about the Ejagham people developing a unified system of Ngbe. We all know that Ngbe is a supreme body that oversees the administration of the Ejagham kingdom across all Ejagham lands. And he said, you go to certain Ocham etwebo giga no chambi ai manya bongbege ogi o chambi ai mnya bongbege ekitibe man ga kan ngbe ari gi an camera ne baro menge and even if an embaro fangi kambe. So he was saying they already develop a unified system ngam pam nyin nembe asi ahen be okay mfaren be Ejagham because other cultures have bought into this ingenuity of our parents even when they do not practice it the way we can, but we must have some form of uniformity by his own suggestion. What do you have to say on that?
I don't reject that. But Ejagham a fond uniformity. I think what he's asking for is greater uniformity. Because Koji makanfa osi kovang makanfa osi kae ayumojok o inokun fimendo. Imire kangbe mbire universal. Njime ya kangbe mutama. Ekan. But mbe na to ese okonan kampak. Odeganyam mechanical. So aba for nembara by nyini amenga no so tike nji eka chakache na njani nga mutama kachakache na njani nga mnyenengbe eka chakache na njani nga njimingbe nyinere eka chakache na nyini penenyo ayenumfa na mbome kankwe nyinga amenga zenywara no yamba and then no ene na mbome kantung amenga zenyo akambe. So ima bire universal oka kama mbatonga mbeke yatego
oringi segejo torano mfafa nankuya no mbenge bere na nyato kwambome are yamba that means ntemwanye kunna nyana fodite
where yamba mena iniwe mena nkarewe bangengbe.
Then this aspect of the institution should be taught just to make the young people know how to identify and classify people of your standing.
We will teach those aspects that have nothing to do with the sacredness of the organization.
Of course.
Good.
What needs to be taught to the people is the non-sacred. The institution, the build-up of the beauty of the institution must be made public. People need, and we must tell the story. Like you said, we need to tell the story. If we allow people who borrow these cultures to tell the story, the wider world would misunderstand and sometimes misplace the originality of Mbe. So within your rank as the Yamba of Mbe, what can be done to make sure that this is a non-sacred aspect of the institution is popular?
Yeah, we are making the non-sacred aspects of the institution popular. The masquerades dance outside. The women clap and dance with the masquerade. The masquerade does not brutalize the people. The masquerade is the community center where the community comes now. You know, the children admire, they're clapping and all that. The aspects that may not have a proper understanding, you know, which are not sacred. We don't have any problem with saying that. I've said that if you see me put this thing here, I am an Iyamba, a Siseko. You see the other person who does that, you know that this one has attained to the rank of clapping of his hands. Those are the things we will be able to teach the people. We will teach the people the notion of the fact that Ekpe is a very dynamic society because it is the government of the Ejagham people. As he suggested.
Dengbe.
Yes, Dengbe, sorry. As he suggested, the unifying nature, maybe we are going to have a unified nature of attending to cases. In some Ochambitat, Okijojebung Nchot, because Mbearano Nchorebungum no Yangbe. Okijojebung Chot ordinarily, Okikaremonti, and Jebu is also Sumo Yangbe, Okarene. Our immediate judgment, so he meant Nkifang. So to get Imabi, to get Pia, Ebuta to get fund uniformity, a Kamase, okay, Zinda Baba Sumo Yangbe, Nepaki Joyce. The Paki Joyce, Nembe, Temnembe, Kaimnese. But him be very sacred. Nga Nyenengbe na Motama.
institution of a lot of people have, especially from the outside world, the Western world, they try to condemn it, they try to demonize this institution. Don't you think it is necessary for the people to come out and express the realities here so that people would stop demonizing the institution?
It will be suicidal for people who belong to the sacred institution of Mbe to come out and try to justify, because some people somewhere have taken upon themselves to demonize it. What creates a problem and makes people lose their identity is when they get on to try to justify accusations that demonize whatever they are doing as a people. It is like asking a child, "What is your name?" And the sister turns around and says, "Agbo Kasirimbugaya." Meanwhile, at the same time, revealing the name of the brother. That is the trap that most Africans, in their culture, trying to justify Western accusations, have instead helped, to banalize their cultures. Whatever accusation you want to give to the institution of Mbe, that's your problem. Give it. We know what it is. We know that it is not demonic. We know that it cannot stop somebody from going to heaven. If you as a pastor think that it is, and you are telling a lie, well, I think we'll wait and meet at God's gate. Because, Mbe, kenogie ko chamembe, oyim temejum, ajo chamembe mbe agbe, egongbe re, ekison. Ejuma chese. Ora go am kan ko biet nsore jen. Nsore ka am so bi ojo ko chamembe. Ajo wa na njomo ka kan ko banyi. We rongo ki go kan ni. Le jume ka o me go am ma ne o ba wo bak na Yankop ni o bak na Jankop no e go afo. Ba ba da go afo. Ot ka Ejagham. Ne ne nya to esengbe abib. Ekam. Nene nyato esengbe anop ore kam betike mogbo ki kam fi enoke tonga ngangbe anobe dene ima fe kunbe tonga ke ya take kam to ka fi tike mogbo. We can never fall into that trap. We will not run the risk of taking pains to justify passionately or sometimes blindly in the manner that the person who has set the trap will be able to know the inside story of what is sacred. Kangbe. God forbid.
Okay, Ntufam, that is fantastic. One of our own sons, Professor Senator Sandy Ojamano, he has been advocating in his seminal works. I think in his latest book, The Leopard's Touch, he has been emphasizing that the current trend of feminist agitation do not really have their anchor on Ejagham. That Ejagham in the time past, even till present, have not really suffered from Western-oriented androcentric postures to realities. That we were people who were sensitive to the female folk, and that even the women were the economic base of the Ejagham nation. For instance, the Mbe institution. Many people say it is purely masculine. Men use it to oppress women in the society, and they don't understand the other aspect of the culture that has elevated women. And so there is need for us to strengthen Sandy's position on that. So what do you have to say, given the Ejagham tradition, the way our forefathers molded the tradition, to have a place for the women, to have a place for the men, and no gender oppression? So what do we make of that today?
No, except in some traditions where the institution for the women folk has been abandoned. While the men had Mbe, the women had Epa. As you had Iyamba in Be, you had the Ntunkaipa. As you had the Chingbe in Be, you had a Chiekpa. As you had, Dibu, Mutama, and all that, you had Eurinkam. So, this institution is still alive in many traditions. In my own Ejagham, there is a part that handles the women folk, and it's working. I know that it must have been eroded in certain cosmopolitan Ejagham settings, but we still have that. I think that if some people feel that the women have not had fair treatment now, well, it is a trend that we should be able to help, reverse it, yes, and ensure that this institution, Ekpa, you had Ekpa, and then you had Mbe. Ekpa handled issues of the women folk, adultery, theft, and all that. Except it was more than them. Then they brought it to the men folk or to the larger community. We had that, and if we have to do more than just reviving the aspect of Ekpa, we go ahead and we do it. And I think that now we have a platform. Before it was just talking. The EjT platform is going to provide, the avenue for us to be able to reawaken such institutions that took care of the women folk and their collective management of the society in the Ejagham Kingdom. That's what I think. But I am not sure that it is the men folk that killed it. What has happened to Ejagham now is that the women folk, they are, without insult, yes, they are easily manipulated. Many of them are in these new churches and will not want to identify with the Ekpa society any longer, But we will reverse that trend. We will have to cause Christianity, modern Christianity, to know that our tradition is not in conflict with going to heaven. It's not.
That is interesting, Ntufam. I think it's been a very wonderful time having you around. So much to talk about. We really need to expand this horizon of knowledge. Taking personal knowledge, I'm expecting that once this interview goes out there, Ejagham youths around the world will begin to gain interest in knowing more about their people. It begins with interest. When we have the interest to know about our people, the knowledge base is there. And EjT is creating an easy path to reaching this knowledge base by our documentation, by our digitalization and dissemination process. We believe that in the near future, we would come alive again and have our own culture being widely spoken of around the world.
I'm truly Kapofon Betumeta. I don't have any other work than to promote the work of EjT for us to arrive where we intend to arrive, making sure that we reawaken the spirit of building the Ejagham nation in the hearts and minds of our young people. We have recognized, and recognition is a very important thing in life. If you recognize that you have erred, then it gives you the urge to do restitution, to correct the wrong. We have recognized that we have erred, we have abandoned the Ejagham tradition for a long time. And now we have seen the need to reawaken it in EjT. The Ruanjim, a Metunji. A Pangaki, Nepangiano Kiano, Nambogiano, Neparaponan at Avonian Avanaki, and today you made Tumji, a Karen by Ejagham, and a 2 minutes, a 2 minute. Can't you repeat that? Not to cover when you're not keen, Victor. Bevarane ki me etumeje. Bevarane ke EjT ki me tumeje. Or ke tegedera ke Ejagham efon ke me tumeje. Kubon kuti. Bevarane wunji o mona mende.
Ntufam, someone. We wish you safe journey messages and hope to be with you eventually.
Thank you very much. May your work in EjT climb and climb and climb. You're doing it for the Ejagham people. Thank you very much. May God bless you. It's a blessing.